For the state, it's oh, okay, we have recording now. I was recording on my own, but it's nice to know that we have storage again. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but for the States, it's still interesting. So as all of you probably read in the news, there have been some pretty big ripples through the US banking industry because of SVB and Signature and a lot of these regional bank stocks they think fell quite a bit, like more than half. Yeah, so it's kind of started a kind of panic, and it's not the best thing for expectations of inflation. So the Fed stepped in quite quickly, but it might affect, whether the rate hikes continue. And but overall, yeah, it's a pretty similar thing from the last few months. And then for now, it doesn't seem like volatility is going to leave the US markets anytime soon. So I guess for us, it kind of just means that it's probably still very, very difficult to time the US markets. And then on China's side, it's sort of a continuance of what's happened with reopening and the longer term story of China and the States and this all the sort of geopolitical risks. And then for longer term stuff, there was recently, I think last Sunday, so exactly a week earlier, the National People's Congress happened, and then what happens is no surprise, Xi's going to continue into his third term, I believe. And there were some shufflings within his circle of the highest ranking officials in China. And then some new statements made by the Chinese government, um, a lower target growth than expected. So I think most people were expecting about a 5.5%. And then for China, it's quite evident that they're probably going to adjust their growth, further down. And then it's part of a longer term sort of trend. Yeah, and then interestingly, he's appointed someone who's has a track record of being quite pro business. And so I think I've mentioned this before, but for China, for Chinese companies, for a lot of China's growth in the coming years, it's going to be about how China sort of tries to look inwards for a lot of its growth. And this is probably the most difficult part because in the past it didn't really have to go through a lot of reform, and its property sector is I think quite representative of a lot of missing reform, a lot of missing reconstruction. That's it's how its industries are run. And there clearly needs to be a shift in how a lot of different industries in China, and especially for its own enterprises, it's how it's going to change. Yeah, but yeah, so but then with that being said, China is still still very characteristic. It's still security is always first thing, stability is always the first thing. So it'll be interesting, but I think it's pretty clear from the NPC that moving forward, it's definitely going to be an inward shift, and there's definitely going to be a lot more challenges for China, but also potentially a lot of interesting things that are happening on the inside. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that's just a kind of, again, it's if you look at the volatility for the past like half a year, or even in the beginning of 2022, like it's 99% impossible to time what or predict what macro is going to do and how the index and everything's gonna go. But I don't know, we can try our best to kind of look for again stocks that are kind of trading lower, deeper discount, and then hopefully we can sort of see a longer term kind of trajectory, kind of like bigger themes that go beyond the month to month or maybe even like the quarter to quarter, yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. Again, just a quick review for this one. I think I'll pause for like 5 seconds here. It's all things that we should be quite familiar with. And then yeah, I think I'll just jump into the discussion for today. So just uh same thing as usual actually. Just wanted to hear more from what you guys are working on and any kind of new research. Doesn't have to be like a ready buy or anything. Just wanted to hear like a few names, your thoughts on them. And then also just a quick discussion on Alibaba and then a even quicker discussion on Sony. And then last thing is quite interesting for us and a little bit urgent for us because Shinya is looking for the last thing to be settled by end of this month. And we do have a lot of cash. We have 85% cash right now. And but I'll delve into more details later. But for now, I think first two should be coming from Spring or Javier.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hello. Yep.
Yep. So I have some updates for BYD. Actually, I have like the whole memo kind of written out already. And
Okay, should
yeah, I
I
just
stop
wanted to,
sharing?
yeah, maybe I can share and like talk a little bit about
Okay.
it. Okay, so like I'll just summarize a brief like background of the company because I think we've been talking about this for a while. So BYD is one of the world's largest EV companies headquartered in Shenzhen, and they manufacture and sell automobiles and batteries. They also have this like headphone component business, which I didn't know about previously, but it's almost like almost 50% of the business. Yeah. So some recent highlights was that in mid 2022 they surpassed Tesla to become the world's largest EV producer by volume. And in 3Q FY22, they saw EV sales of over 537K units, which is an increase of 197% year on year, which is pretty crazy. So their sales are driven, like 56% of the sales are driven by their top three models, Song, Qin, and Han. And as of March 2023, BYD holds a 45% market share in China, and has also expanded into other foreign markets like Japan, Germany, Singapore, Australia, and India. Brief intro to their business segments. Firstly would be automobile segment. So this is the manufacture and selling of the cars themselves. Then the mobile handset, which they sell like all these handphone parts to players like Nokia and Motorola. As well as the rechargeable battery segment, which is only 7% of revenue. In terms of geographical breakdown, 7% of their sales comes from China. The other 30% comes from international segments. For the industry, the TAM is currently, as of 2021, it was 170 billion USD, which represents 8 million units, and is projected to reach over 1.1 trillion USD, which is 39 million units by 2030, which is a 23.1% CAGR. And it's driven by a few things. Firstly, would be like the conversion from ICE vehicles to EVs. So for quite a long time, the EV market in China was primarily driven by policy. So things like the fuel economy regulations, new energy, vehicle quota systems, government fleet mandates, and direct purchase subsidies added some pressure as well as incentives on both the manufacturer and the consumer side to incentivize this kind of conversion to go electric. But I think today, like the drivers of going electric is more organic and like there's less interference from the government. So like some of these things are like the lower cost of like operating the EV vehicle rather than like the ICE in terms of like the fuel cost, etc. Better slash safer driving experience. This is like a bit subjective, but this is what like some of the reviews have said. Of course, environmental concerns and also the rollout of charging infrastructure. So more on that, the number of publicly available chargers in the world is increasing rapidly. In 2021, it grew by 40%. China has a 65% share of all these public chargers in the world, total of 1.15 million stations. Guangdong has the highest number of charging stations at 340,000. So with this like infrastructure becoming more readily available, of course, it will help with the adoption because like it's like a lot more accessible and stuff. Yeah, so a little bit on the impact of COVID as well. So with COVID, there was the whole supply chain crisis and reduced consumer demand with like just generally dampened like consumer demand lah. And yeah, but I think since then, like all these have like the recovery story has kind of played out. I think the supply chain crisis, while it might be still there a little bit, it has eased a lot. And we've seen the demand recovery as well. Yeah. Okay, so for the thesis, I'll explain like what kind of the bears are saying currently, like why the stock is not moving. Yeah, so basically they are attributing that to like rising raw material costs. So they're saying that with these costs rising, it'll put BYD's margins under pressure. So the prices of all the metals like nickel, lithium, cobalt, and manganese, which are used to power the EV batteries, have soared in the past year. And these batteries, like the cost of manufacturing these batteries account for 30 to 40% of the cost of manufacturing each EV. And within the batteries, 63% of the total battery cost is driven by all these materials because it's used for the cathode and anode. Okay, and EV makers' margins tend to be pretty sensitive to the changes in price of these metals. So like just to quantify this a little bit, the nickel spot price has risen by 20% year on year, and it's currently in contango, which means the futures contracts are priced higher than the spot price, which means that the market expects the price of the metal to go up in the next few years. And increase in price has been attributed to supply shortages as well as growing demand. Yeah, but I think that in terms of this like margin issue, I think that BYD has measures in place to safeguard their profitability. Firstly would be the vertically integrated supply chain. So this is not like the industry standard, but BYD has set themselves apart by keeping as much of their supply chain as possible under their own roof. So they produce their own EV batteries and 70% of their semicon chips, right? And like the chips thing is pretty important because like by producing it yourself, you're able to bypass the average third-party sales markup of 82%. And this is something that nobody really talks about because I had to go and calculate this myself. And it's derived from the gross margin of 45% in the semicon industry. Secondly, I think the market is also discounting BYD's ability to manufacture batteries at lower cost compared to peers. So they have their own like proprietary blade battery technology, which allows them to produce cheaper yet higher capacity EV batteries at scale. So these batteries are like of higher energy density, right? But they are still 42% cheaper to produce than the traditional LFPs, which are lithium iron phosphate batteries. Yeah, so currently all these blade batteries are present in all their passenger EVs, which are like the normal electric vehicles. But in September last year, they announced that they're gonna be rolling it out into all their other commercial EVs, which are like the buses, some Skyrail, like trains and stuff. So as they continue to roll out the implementation of these blade batteries, I think it makes sense that their gross margins will see an expansion. Yeah. So, oh, and they're also selling all these blade batteries to companies like Tesla and I think Nissan as well. So you also see expansion in margin from the top line. Thirdly, they have been hiking the prices of their vehicles. So in March 2022, they announced that they will raise the prices of their cars by 3 to 6K yuan. And they attribute it to raw material costs. This was the second price hike of the year. Yeah, so they did something similar at the start. So with their strong brand equity among their consumers and their ability to deliver the most value for less, I guess that's their value proposition. I believe they have the pricing power to continue raising prices to offset any potential margin dilution. And if you look at their history of price hikes in Q1 and Q2 2022, you can observe that okay, this is not in the chart, but their gross margins increased from 12.4% to 14.4%, while the rest of the industry that also tried to raise their prices, they saw like a decline in gross margins. So I think that BYD's vehicles, like the demand for their vehicles are more price elastic, in contrast to like the other companies. So this like special ability that they have to raise their prices will, I think, serve as a strong safety net for them to preserve their margins. And these kind of measures are pretty difficult to replicate, if your customers are not receptive to the price hikes. So I think that this grants them a moat in some way. Yeah. For the valuation, I don't have like a full-blown model, but like based on some estimates based on like EPS growth, their EPS grew at 53% CAGR in the past 3 years. So if we assume like a similar rate of growth, which I think is pretty possible, we can expect FY24 EPS of about 8 RMB. And with the current forward PE of 32x, we can derive an implied share price of 256 RMB, which is a 24% upside or 12% IRR. And just to get like a range of like possible returns, if we see like slowing EPS growth and a potential like re-rating in their EPS, potential re-rating in the PE multiple, this is the kind of potential IRR we can get. And if you look at the valuation band, I think it's pretty unlikely that their PE will be re-rated even lower. Currently we're trading at about 1 standard deviation below the average. And like I think like even during COVID, they didn't trade at these levels. So for it to go like even lower than this, there needs to be another black swan event. So like if we just weigh the probabilities and like the statistical chances that we're gonna lose a lot of money from this, I think it's pretty low. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good stock to buy. IRR between 6 to 23% and limited risk of further derating. Yeah, so that's my pitch for this stock.
Okay, thank you. I just have some quick questions. So I guess about the competition. So I guess its biggest competition would be Tesla, am I right?
Yeah, sure, but they're not exactly positioned in the same way. Like Tesla is
Right.
targeting more
Are they
the premium.
targeting a similar consumer audience, right?
No,
Because I know
I
that
don't think so.
BYD is trying to roll out like a premium, I think it's called Yang Wang or something.
Okay, I don't know about that, but
Yeah,
I
have you
think
looked into
BYD is
like
like
their product line? Okay, but it's still like the
yeah, I have.
affordability, what they're traditionally good
Yeah, I
at.
think that's still their main value
Okay,
proposition. And I think like the bulk of their
okay,
sales is still driven by the value vehicles.
okay,
So yeah, perhaps they could be expanding their portfolio to like target a more premium segment, but at the end of the day, what drives the valuation will be the cheaper vehicles. Yeah.
okay, okay. And for like regional, like which markets are they trying to compete in with Tesla?
Which markets?
Or
I mean,
yeah, so right
by this
now
point, they're
is
like almost all over the world now, but the
right,
main market is still China.
same market still trying. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, do we have any data like comparing the cost of production for BYD versus their competitors? Is there something we can
I don't
find?
have it with me now, but you could just look at their gross margins, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but their vertical, like how they have, I think their biggest differentiator is that they make their own batteries compared to Tesla. Yeah,
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 if I'm not wrong, they have
yeah,
the highest gross margins in the industry.
yeah.
Tesla might
Okay.
be second. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it sounds really interesting. Yeah, I actually really like BYD, and I think now compared to maybe 6 months ago, I think it's come down quite a bit. So I
Mm.
think back then when they first announced that they were going all EV, or I think they was like stopping their production of IC completely. Then the stock
Mm-hmm.
went like up like crazy, and then now it's come back down, which is good for us.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else have like questions? Okay. If not, actually, I'm pretty on board with BYD. Next steps, we could um we could bring this to a vote in the IC. So that's just me, you, and Rafael. And then yeah, we could either do it now or we could think about it. But
How does that work?
okay,
Sorry, how does the vote
yeah.
work?
So either okay, we have to size the position as well. What would you recommend for sizing? Okay, we have 85 free now, 85%. We have a total capacity of 5 names, I think.
5 names.
BYD, yeah.
So
We have
5
two
names should
now,
take up
but
the rest of our
the
portfolio.
entire thing.
Oh,
We have 2 names now, but honestly, I'm gonna bring this up later. I'm thinking of dropping Sony.
okay.
So I mean, we have 3/4 places. So
And
it's
what
kind of
about
like first
Sony?
come, first serve. Sony, I can't get anybody to look at it, and I don't want to keep something around when nobody wants to look at it. It's gonna be a problem. Like you understand, right? Like moving
Mhm.
forward, it's gonna be every month we have like this thing that nobody really is excited about, and then like if we keep something if we keep a name here, like we want to be excited about it, right? We want to have somebody who's like jumping at the bit to like look at it, but now it's more like a thing that's constantly annoying us.
Hmm.
So, and it's a tiny position. It's 2.2%. So
Oh,
Oh,
the effort to payoff ratio on this is so whack that it doesn't make sense to keep it. Let's just, yeah, like pretty solid companies like BYD or any other things. I think more tech. I don't know. I'm just like looking at and thinking of the names at consumer or
uh,
tech, like just
sorry,
other
what are
names, like
our other 2 names and the weight?
other 2 names. No, we just have Baba, which is at about 15. I think wait,
Okay.
no, 13.8. Yeah, and then uh sorry, 12.8, and then 2.2, which makes up 15 together.
Oh,
So 12.8 for Baba and then 2.2 for Sony, which is honestly so small that it's ridiculous. We've been stringing it along for so long. I think ever
mm,
since Yu Yang graduated in December, it's been like probably time to say goodbye.
mm.
Yeah, so honestly, there's 3 to 4 spots available for BYD if we're thinking about price sizing the position at how much is it now? 250? Two, 237,
Uh,
238 Chinese yuan. Okay, I think the valuation wise, it's fine. Like
mm.
the 4 highlighted, I think it's okay. Okay, how about since it's just the 3 of us, we keep the sizing offline first, and then but it's like 99% a yes for me. It's just how much. But also at the same time, it's kind of like a first come first serve thing. Like we have 85% is like it's just going out the window for whoever's like coming up with, yeah. So yeah, okay, we can take this offline. Okay, I know Xing Hui told me that they took a look at what was it, Domino's. They decided to pass on it, but I'm not sure if
Mm.
she wants to give like a
Um,
sorry,
I think they have a short memo ready, but like both
yeah,
of them couldn't make it today. So like they said maybe
yeah.
they'll
So
share
we could always wait till
next
next week
month.
because it's not urgent. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. Yeah. Okay. Then it's
for the
Baba.
next
Okay, I think.
session, we have Muli with some Indian company idea.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just talked with him today about it.
Okay.
which
Can I have a
company is
heads
it?
up of which one?
Oh, he haven't told me.
Oh,
Okay, no problem. We'll just text him and then can reveal
Yeah.
it. Maybe we can read up a bit on it first. Okay, so we have 2 things lined up for next week. Yeah. So okay. Next I think just I think I'm gonna finish up the Sony point. So I'm like probably definitely going to drop Sony, and then unless there's somebody who's like huge fan of Sony and doesn't want us to drop it right now and thinks 2.2 is too little, speak now. Okay, if not, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, Like what I mentioned, it's too tiny. If somebody loves it, we can make it bigger, but they got to make their case for it. Otherwise, it's just a thorn in our side always, and it's not worth it. This person. Okay. Yeah, then Sony is okay. Just for Baba. Okay. Olivia and Jingxiang couldn't make it today. So there were the two people who pitched Baba, but unfortunately we have timed the markets terribly. And I think when we bought it in January, it was I think 119. Now it's about 80, which is unfortunate, but I mean we could have timed it. A lot of it, I think it's still that the long term of the company, it's a lot of it is still colored by a slow recovery from e-commerce, a slow recovery on business spending, and then this kind of further concerns from whether Biden is going to try and like attack the cloud business again, attack China in general from the chip end. But I took a look at the thesis. I kind of like looked at why the price has gone down. It really seems that it's just most of it is just volatility. So I am gonna talk about this with the two members covering it. But as of now, it's nothing too red flag. It's nothing too that's like our thesis is like shaking. It's nothing like that. So if anybody here is like really like concerned about Alibaba, we can talk about it. Anybody? I mean, it's okay if you are. Like we're supposed to talk about it if you are, but okay, then I'll just take it that everybody is still okay with it. We'll keep looking at it to see where it goes. But yes, it is unfortunate that we seem to have timed it poorly, but it's okay. Okay, last thing is capital deployment. So yeah, Shinny just wants us to deploy capital on a timed or have some kind of a plan for how much we want to buy and when. And like I said, I think the tiny 15% we have in one name right now, we have a lot of room, like 3 to 4 names. You don't have to have all 5 names. It could be like a super concentrated portfolio, but like it'd be interesting to have a few more names. Yeah. So now keep looking, I guess, in your teams, and then um wait, just a quick one for Intel. I think it's also spring. Um what's do you have it like idea of what kind of sparked that, or like how they kind of got to Intel? Like did they give you a mini pitch, Javier, maybe?
Um, sorry, I don't think they're working on Intel anymore. Not that I know of. They've been like
Oh,
fully focusing on Domino's.
oh, okay. Because the latest thing I heard from them is that they're passing on Domino's and might be moving on to
Oh,
Intel.
oh, they were moving to Intel. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe no, sir. Maybe I'm just not updated. Yeah,
Okay,
but
no, it's
I'm
okay.
not sure
That
what
means they
the
haven't given
situation
you
is.
the elevator pitch. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so stuff like that. I mean, just keep going back to what you guys believe as a team. Like again, like we can't really time the markets. We've done so very poorly as evidence, but at the same time, you can't really blame us because everywhere markets are crazy. But it's just as long as we don't like overpay versus what we think is, you know, a reasonable price for what the business is or its potential. If you can kind of see like the longer term trend, or if there's like a story, or if there are just some investments and it's very clear to you that there are some things that are just holding the valuations down. Like I said, like Javier did, like just bring out the bear case and then make it clear why you think that some things are being ignored, and then you know we'll just hold it and then we'll keep looking at it. But yeah, it's always good to just keep looking at new stuff. I mean, a lot of the stuff we might end up passing on, but it's okay. Like we'll just keep all the stuff that we write, and then maybe one day, when the price will fall back to a place where it's suddenly good again, and then we have a pretty much ready thing to go for. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I would go back to the slides, but there's actually not much left. It's really just
Sorry, can I ask, right? Do you have access
mhm.
to India markets?
Yes, we have access to almost every
Oh,
market, I think.
cool. Okay,
So
maybe I'll do stuff on
I
India.
hope so, Persis. If I'm wrong, correct me, Persis. But I think we do.
I think
Yeah.
Interactive Brokers has access to everything.
Okay, great. As expected of IB. Okay. Just let me jump back to the slide. Yeah, so for capital deployment, if any of you have like some like interesting tactic, like you believe that we could invest a huge chunk in something right now, you could let me know. But otherwise for BYD, I think, yeah, I'm gonna take it offline with Xavier. And then but yeah, if you have like a strategy or like you think that a big chunk of money would do good in a certain name, like just speak now or let me know somewhere. And then hopefully by the end of the month, I'll run by what we tell Shinya in the end, just so that everybody has a chance to say their opinion or give a suggestion. But then at the end of the month, we'll probably let Shinya know that we won't be sitting on 85% cash. Okay. But yeah, and then PMs, okay, you could either check in and call with me if your time is slightly more I don't know, flexible, but if not, I know a lot of you are busy. You can also text me, but it'd be nice to talk to you and see your face and ask about your life. So this is really just to two people, so Javier and Audrey.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you can just let me know whatever works for you. And then yeah, that's all for today. Just have a great week ahead, everyone. And yeah, Javier, please send that memo to the group chat. And then other stuff we will discuss offline.
I just did a quick Google search. I think that we can't do Indian trade. I think. Yeah. I will send the
Oh,
website to the chat. Then you guys can see if I'm reading it wrong.
okay. That is
Yeah, I sent it in.
disappointing.
Okay.
Okay. It's no problem. We can talk to Marito, and then worst comes to worst, we can try to see if we can find a workaround. But we'll see. Okay, I'll also talk to Marito about this. Thank you, Versus.
Yeah, but please yeah,
Okay.
have new stocks. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay, does anyone have any questions for the pitch, for the stock you're looking at, for the portfolio, for investing, for school, for life? No? Okay. If not, then yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Yeah, so hope you have a great week ahead, and I'll see you guys on WeCom really soon. I will come and find you to talk to you,
Thank
PMs
you.
and others. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Have a great
Thanks.
week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye
everyone.
bye.